like to start by wishing a very happy birthday to my favorite college baseball coach in the world, Chris Lemonis. It's his birthday today, so happy birthday, Coach.
With that, we'll start with Paul.
Coach, when you look at this Florida team, any differences you see from this year's team to last year's team? You know, looking at, I guess more specifically, Riley Kugel, like he caught fire late last year, and this year has kind of been a weird deal because he's had 5 or 6 20-point games, and he's had 5 or 6 games where he scored 5 points or less. Just what differences do you see with him?
There's some similarities in terms of their guard play. They had excellent guard play last year, and they do again this year. In my opinion, they got more weapons out front than they had last year. They've got a glutton of guards. I mean, they just have a bunch of guys that are big, strong, powerful, downhill guys. You mentioned, Kugel obviously had an unbelievable freshman year, high expectations, and I'm not in their team rooms or practices, so I have no idea about any of that kind of stuff. But all I know is he's capable of going off for 30 on any given night. The thing that's changed for them, in my opinion, is just their size. Obviously Castleton went down last year late, so he wasn't available when we played them in the SEC tournament, which hurt them. But I just feel like they've got more size this year. They got 4 guys. They rotate in at the 4 and the 5, and they're one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the country in offensive rebounding. They receive like 41% of their offensive rebounding, their putbacks, and I think that's the biggest difference in them. It's just the quality of depth they have at the rim with the rebounding and the rim protection and the bodies, along with, like I said, the guards that can really space the floor and play off one another.
We'll go to Justin here, middle left to Coach.
Chris, two-part question here. We obviously saw Murph back on the bench on Saturday. Is there a target date or anything for getting him back into the rotation, back on the court?
No.
And then, obviously, you guys don't really plan for him and Andrew being out as long as they have been, like an injury, I guess. But I guess, how has that changed maybe what you had planned for a rotation coming in, or sort of having to adjust with that on the fly?
I don't think like that. I don't have a game plan going into the games on minutes and rotations. Certainly it's something we talk about from game to game, but he just makes those type of decisions on the fly.
We'll go to Ben to Coach's right.
Yeah, in terms of playing on the road, it's been a struggle for this group so far this season. Have there been any specific things you've discussed in team meetings or individual meetings with the players in regards to what it's like to play in those type of environments? You got a tough one, obviously, in Gainesville.
Yeah, it's a good point. We haven't been able to get a true road win by the metrics, but I believe in this team, and we talk a lot about what's required to win on the road. And if you want to be considered a high-level team, a tough team, you've got to go into tough environments and stay together and figure out a way to play well enough to win. And we talk about what everybody talks about, of just sticking together, hanging together through the adversity, through the runs, staying focused at the task at hand, not getting caught up with the crowd and it becoming too distracting. But I'm looking forward to the opportunity. We're coming off a win. Hopefully we'll have 2 good days of practice, and it's going to be a tall task. They're very, very good, like I talked about earlier, and I'm sure they'll be ready too.
Go ahead, Paul.
Obviously, he had a couple shots go in and out against Vanderbilt, but it seems like Shaq has been more aggressive in the paint the past few games. I'm sure that's something you talked to him about, but have you seen that difference in him taking those opportunities to get in the lane?
Yeah, I like when he's aggressive. I like when he's downhill. I like when he's getting paint touches. I'd like for him to finish a little bit better. Again, easy for me to say. I'm not in there with 6'10" guys, roaming the paint and the bodies that he's trying to score over or through. He's so dynamic, though, and he has proven that he has the skill level to do that. Just got to be a little more consistent with it. But like I've said earlier, I just really like where he's at with his approach mentally, not even on game day, but all the time. He just seems super focused, and he's had some really good practices, and I think he'll continue to play well.
Go back to Justin, then we'll go second row.
Chris, we haven't, I guess, checked in on guys since Tolu came back. Just how has he sort of adjusted to getting back to the role he was maybe expected to have coming into the year, and how valuable were those minutes, early in the season to get him to where he is to this point in the season?
Yeah, Guy continues to work. On Friday, he had one of the better practices he's had in a while, where he had a flurry there where he dominated. I mean, he was scoring, he was blocking shots, he was running the floor. His teammates, it was maroon versus gray, I guess, is our jersey colors in practice, and his team was doing well, and his teammates were excited for him, and it was good to see. And certainly he understands, where it's at. How valuable those minutes will be for him, I think, will be more determined next year. But I know he's capable. I know he's wants more. I know he's trying to prepare himself, every day for anything that comes his way. And who knows how the season will unfold. But what I love about him is, he's a worker. He's a great person. He's got the right, approach every single day, and he's in a good spot.
Go ahead.
Coach, how important was it for y'all to get that win on Saturday after a couple of tough losses in a row?
Yeah, it was a must-win. You don't want to say that to your team. You don't want them to play, scared, if you will, or have any tightness at all. And I didn't tell him that, but in our staff talks, that's kind of where we were at for a lot of different reasons. Pretty obvious that anyone follows college basketball, how important it was to defend our home court on Saturday and make sure we won the game, and we did. Certainly would have liked to play a little bit better, especially on the offensive end in the second half. The margin of victory, could have been more if we would have knocked the free throws down and scored better at the rim, which has become a little bit of an issue for us that we've got to shore up.
Got time for a couple more. We'll go second row, Danny P, and then David, and we'll get back down to bat and wrap it up.
Coach, I want to ask you about one of your managers, Cy Hallberg. He's a Starkville kid. First year with the program. Just wanted to know what has he meant to your program in a short amount of time.
Yeah, Cy's been great. He's been a great addition. He's a nice kid, works hard, dependable, responsible. We're glad he's with us, and hopefully he'll be with us for quite some time.
As impressive as Tolu's been these games, it's still easy to forget that he's still kind of working his way back to full strength. How do you judge when it's time to give him a few minutes, or maybe just drag him off the court and say you need to rest because we need you at the end of the game?
We try to do that in practice. We try to make sure we're subbing him, enough. But at the same time, we've got to get him in better shape too. So it's a fine line between how much, he goes every day. Certainly, as you will know, and everybody that's been around this program knows, he wants to be out there for every single rep, if it's a practice, or a game. But he's in a good spot. Only he knows how he feels. And I just saw him walking through the gym over to here. He's working on his game. He's a tireless worker, and I didn't even realize it until this morning. I'm sure I did at the game, but it lost on me. But he didn't have a rebound in the first half. And we just talked out there, and about what kind of monster line he could have had, if he would have rebounded a few in the first half and made some of his bunnies. He still was 9 for 12, but I still feel like he left some food on the table, that way, and he promised me that it wasn't going to happen anymore. So we'll see. And, but sometimes it's like we all expect him to make every shot. And these guys are trying to defend him, and they're real physical with him, and they're putting their bodies on him, and everybody knows he's, at the top of the scouting list, and they're all trying to push him away from the basket, and it's pretty physical down there, and he's certainly got the body to handle it, but like you said, he's still coming back from a pretty serious injury, and hopefully he'll feel, like he's all the way back here shortly.
Benjamin and Coach is right to wrap us up.
Yeah. We've seen Jaquan Scott get into a couple games here in conference play, especially with Keyshawn having been out of the lineup. Yeah, what have you seen from him, and what does he need to do in order to get a few more minutes here and there?
Yeah, Jaquan, has been inconsistent, but, he's a live body. He's physical. He fits the way we want to play, and he knows what he needs to do. He's just got to be a little more consistent in practice with being on the same page of what we're trying to do all the time, and know the coverages we're in, and all that goes into getting yourself on the floor. But he'll have opportunities. He'll have more opportunities, and he just got to be ready for them and take advantage of them, and prove to all of us that he can be consistent with his play and with his productivity, and that's all he needs to do in order